Got that original garage band beat bumping. Well, I be on these beats, man. That shit right, they just sound like fire. Don X Art. Yo, Garden, what's good, bro? My bad, I was trying to prepare my meditation. It's like a little ritual for my studio. Come in, make sure all the devices and electronics are on, get some beats playing, get my meditation on. I gotta kind of ease into my paint session, you know. So I just can't hop in here and start painting. I gotta like ease into that shit. Yo, what's good? Oh yeah. I painted a picture you didn't. Am I thinking about another Gwenda? This beat is so relaxing to me. I can fall asleep listening to this shit. It's this part right here. I ain't gonna lie, this is my favorite part of the track. This little whispery, that part right there. Still have the painting of your daughter, but the painting of you, I actually sold that to a good friend of mine, and she is also an artist. But the first time I displayed that painting was with her at her gallery, and she loved that painting immediately, and she told me right then, she's like, I'm gonna buy this. If you don't sell this to anybody else, I'm gonna buy it from you. And it was a couple of years later, but she came back and bought that painting. Yo, what's good, Frederick? But, yeah, so the painting of you is now in someone's private collection. It is hanging prominently in their home, and it's being taken care of. That's the only thing I ask for my art, is that it goes to a loving home. It's gonna it's gonna be taken care of and enjoyed and admired. So, and thank you again. From me, my voice. I don't know. How can I change that? Oh shit. I don't know. Maybe my microphone is dirty or something, or clogged. I'm not sure why the volume is low. Is it so low that it's not tolerable, or I don't know. That's the first time. I heard someone say that. Great, I'm glad. Me too. Me too. Cause she really, 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 really loved that painting, and she came back and got it. So I'm currently working on this piece, and I'm on a very slow part. uh, Nice. Yeah, we can still enjoy it too. We get to enjoy it because we were there. It's I, my paintings aren't mine. It's me and the models. Like I'm in the market. Wait, you think I should? Let me. What if I end the stream and then start it right back up and see if that makes a difference? I'll be right back. Let's try to restart it. I needed you to hear this in my voice. Then orange. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I needed you to hear this in my voice. Then orange. Good morning. YouTube. Anybody in there on YouTube? Man. Yo. What's good? What's good? What's good? I hope the sound quality is better. You know what? I had my phone was plugged into the charger at the same time too, so I'm not sure if that was causing an issue. But I've been slowly trying to work on the background for this piece right now. Trying to fill in these bricks, brick by brick. There's like thousands of bricks on here, so it's gonna be a little slow process to fill in this building back here. But it's all good. It's not the most exciting thing, but it does really help the piece pop. I could have layered this a different way that would have probably been easier and faster, but it wouldn't have given me the same effect that I'm looking for. So I have to take the slow route on this one and just kind of make each individual brick, and then I have to come back again Yo, Wade, what's good, man? One of my favorite artists, the man with the mustache. Got the Salvador Dali. You know what I'm saying? That's how you know a real artist. But the background is slowly being filled in. Applying. To me, this is like the actual first layer of paint. So the underpainting is complete, but you'll never see the underpainting. But this layer, you will see some of this layer still show through at the end of the piece. Um, got a lot more to go. I don't know why I do this to myself. Oh yeah, make it detailed, man. Shit, I'm like screw these bricks now, man. God damn. I'm about tired of it. Still fun. Still kind of fun. Still kind of fun. So, I guess throughout the course of the weekend, probably I'll just once again I'll be focusing on just trying to fill this in and get those bricks in there. Using very few colors. We have a couple of yellows, some Naples yellow, and some. Oh damn! I'm drawing a blank. I think this is some cadmium. No, that's not cadmium. Some golden ochre is what that is. So Naples yellow, golden ochre, some warm white, some Van Dyke brown, and some lamp black is what's on the palette. And we're using these to fill in the building. It is definitely a labor of love. Definitely a labor of love. So here is my reference photo. So as you see, I haven't. There's a lot more detailing in the windows, and the highlights in the trees, and then this whole area here has all these branches, which I'm all these branches crisscross in front of that building. And see, the tree has a lot of like bright green highlights right there. So I'm gonna come back, fill that in. This tree has actually some really bright white areas that I can come back and accent those. And then even this building here that I'm filling in the bricks, this tree has brick. Now I'm contemplating not putting this goddamn tree in there, man. Look at this, man, man, man. I don't know. And then the branches kind of obstruct the building anyway, so I might not put all the branches. Maybe I don't know. I'm not sure. Sometimes I leave things out. Sometimes I try to add everything. But uh, does this tree have a real important place in this image? I don't know. So we'll think about it. I still gotta fill all the bricks in, even if I do decide to paint the tree in front of it. Like I said, it's just they look kind of pale, yellowish, tan, cream, some gray. We got several windows and that door there, the light post. Yo, Lou Lines, Mr. Santa Claus himself, the handsomest Santa Claus you'll ever want to meet. I can't wait to get to the foreground and play with these shadows. I love the shadows. This is a really, really, really good contrast. That's a sharp ass one. I love that. And then that pop of white that's in that shadow, man, I can't wait to paint that. So It's a very complex image. There's a lot of different textures, a lot of dynamic contrast in the light and dark, and then there's a lot of very similar colors. His pants, his shirt are very close, and then his shirt and the grass are very close. And then we have this blue, black, purple of the iron on the bench and the wood. Man, so a lot of layers, a lot of different textures, a lot of deep contrasts, and I'm enjoying the overall project. I think this was the best photo I got that day. Henceforth, I painted it. But yeah, these bricks are kicking my ass right now. It'll be alright. So I'm kind of like here in this area. Oh well, no, I've actually made it up to the bottom of this window. So I'm kind of like here right now. And you can't really see anything. It's just, I don't know, I could have just used a palette knife and just blurred that all out and just smushed it in there. But here at the bottom, you can kind of make out individual bricks. Like I say, behind the bushes, it's just like, shmeh, shmeh. Can't, but I'm going to still do this pattern up and through there, and just to try to make it pop out a little bit more than what it actually is in the photograph. So we'll see. We will see how it goes. Maybe it'll look right. Maybe it'll look fucked up. But if it's fucked up, I can just paint over it and try it again. You know what I'm saying? We don't lose, we learn. We don't what he said, we don't have we don't make mistakes, we have happy little accidents. So I don't know if this is an accident or not. No, well, it can't be because I am purposely, intentionally doing this shit. So I guess this would be considered a fuck up if it don't turn out in my favor. That's why I gotta slow roll it a little bit. Alright. Yo, Wade, if you're still in here, would you care to come on live stream? I do a artist talk TV show. Well, I used to. I haven't done it in a while. I'm trying to get it back started again. But when I do Instagram lives like this, I don't mind. Not that I don't mind. I actually enjoy asking other artists questions because that keeps me motivated and inspired. If you go to my Instagram page and look at my followers, I follow very few people, and uh, most of them are artists. About 99% of people I follow on Instagram are artists. And if I don't follow you on Instagram, then I follow you on Facebook. And my Facebook page is older, so I really don't duplicate like the people I follow on Facebook and Instagram. But yo, my man Mike, good afternoon, good sir. Yo, the people in that submarine, they ain't got a lot of air left, man. We gotta do something about tomorrow. That is, if the worst hasn't already happened, which I hope it hasn't. Is if we can pull them people up, this would be one of the greatest stories of the year. I need some real feel good news, man. I get tired of hearing depressing news all the time. Mike, I'm trying to put together a puff and paint uh, for this summer. Instead of a sip and paint, we're gonna do a puff and paint at a clandestine location. Yo, What's up, bro? EHA, 1990. What's good, bro? Scottish Wildlife Garden Night Stream. What the hell? I was listening to my other friend's podcast earlier. Hello, everyone. In the studio, working on some paintings, listening to some garage band beats. If anybody likes music, uh, even if you don't really like music like that, if you're just a creative person and you get bored sometimes and you just don't know what to watch on Netflix and YouTube is feeding you the same shit in your algorithm and you're getting tired of looking at memes on Instagram and you just want something to do, something that's like creative at the same time, yo, GarageBand. The GarageBand app is free. It's a completely free app. You don't have to pay for anything, and you can make music on it. It's a beat machine and a studio, I guess. I don't know. You can make a puff and paint in New York or New Jersey or somewhere else. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, because Jersey, is it recreational or did they just decriminalize it in Jersey? But this is the latest beat I made on GarageBand. I'm still trying to fiddle with it, but I'm really liking the vibe of this thing. I'm gonna play this for a minute while I get my brushes and my paints ready so we can do something on here. If you go to my YouTube channel, Travis Prince, I only got 1,000 subscribers. I got more videos than I have subscribers. I've been making YouTube videos for a long time. But if you go to my YouTube and you go to playlists, and then if you go to Trap House Mixtape, and so these are my old rap songs when I used to be a rapper. I used to make a lot of rap music. And then if you go to on my Instagram, if you go to my Instagram Reels, I have some of my GarageBand beats on my Instagram Reels. So you listen to some other beats I made on there. And if you want to listen to like some of my old rap music, I had this mixtape has 13 songs on it. So you can listen to some of that old stuff. I haven't made like actual new like lyrics in a long time. I just make a lot of beats now. But I'll show you this. So this is my GarageBand beat library. I thought it gave a number. So there's like probably like 50 something beats on here. And I got GarageBand like probably around this time last year. So in about a year, just sitting around whenever you get bored, and I just made a couple beats. Still not really proficient at it. There's a lot of things on here I don't use because I don't really understand a lot of it. Because I don't take the time. I understand the easy, simple parts of how to put things together. Some of my beats can be more detailed and intricate if I would take more time and sit down with it, but I think some of them are okay, good enough to listen to. Man, y'all gotta get GarageBand. Just check that shit out, man. You can be listening to your own music, your own beats, while you paint or create or do whatever else you do. Like I say, you can just make beats when you bored. Ain't shit else to do. Man, I open this free app and sit here and listen to these cool ass sounds, and put some sounds together, and see how they all sound at one time when they all play at the same time. You know what? Sometimes that shit be sounding dope as hell. All you gotta do is find the right sounds. That's all. Let's see. What about this one?
West, but you know what? My last name is Prince. What's up? We were just talking about you. And he shall praise and praise his name. And so this morning I'd like to pass around this plate, and it's a plate of offering. And I would like for you to dig deep down and give God what is his. I said, praise. I've been in church before. I know how they do it in church. I went to church a couple times. I know how they deal with it. Gospel. Yeah. I get it. Holy Tabernacle Pentecostal Baptist on that side of the road, on the road of Jericho. Faith, mission, holy Trinity. Yeah.
church folks be going in, man. I tell you, that shit make you feel good sometimes. You be up in there and them drums be slamming and them tambourines be popping and the choir be shaking and rocking and it's a spiritual thing. Alright, enough with the gospel beats. I don't even remember this. It's called Inner Space. Let's see what this sounds Alright, we'll play one more beat and then we'll see what's good with YouTube. I don't know what to play though. It's only, let's see. You know what? I might be done with these right now. Because I honestly think I've played all of the ones that I like. Out of 50 beats, I probably like about 6 of them. Alright, disconnect from there. Yo, Faith, what's good? And we're gonna connect. So I disconnected the iPad from the Bluetooth. Let's connect the laptop to the Bluetooth. See if this will work the first time around. Nice, 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 nice. Now I could force you guys to listen to some of my old rap music. Oh man, no, I don't want to do that. I don't really want to do that. So let's go to home. AI speech change forever. Oh, that's JF. That's Kennedy on Joe Rogan. This one I don't want to hear about though. Let's see what's good with these people in that submarine.
Loving Sam Life, if I'm reading that right. Thanks to all of our Twitter viewers and chatters, all of our Facebook viewers and chatters. Thanks for chatting and participating over there, like Daddy Dino, Fluffy, Johnny Autonomous, Count Zero, Coming to America,
Coming to
Trillion,
America. Really, that's your
Kevster. Yes, we do have a Discord. Integrity Farmer Bob, Fen Beingold, Fig, One Hectic Eclectic,
What?
Mick Woodywood, Joshi Maxi, Username Cash, and others. Amy Wiseart,
I'm chilling, dude. I'm in my zen spot.
Billion. These are just some of our Twitch chatters. Appreciate you guys participating over there in the Twitch chat.
You know what I'm saying? This is.
Lynn says there's always hope.
So we're listening to.
Margin Call, Uneven Donkey.
I don't really try to promote a lot of people, but this dude, his channel is Agenda Free TV. He actually does this shit out of his own home, kind of like what I'm doing now. And he really just reports the news, that's all. He tries to stay up to date on all the latest things in the news and give you like instant notification of what's going on with like big major headline breaking stories. But he's pretty good. And he's been keeping up with this submarine thing.
It's fine on Facebook, it's fine on Twitch, it's fine on Twitter. If it's laggy on YouTube, it's a YouTube issue because it is fine on the other platforms. So I'm sorry if it's laggy on YouTube, but that would make it, maybe try refreshing it because it's fine on the other platforms. Sometimes specific platforms have issues. Maybe YouTube is having issues.
YouTube
Does happen.
always has issues.
Carrie Poteet, the answer to your question is yes, agendafreetv.com for that. Thanks. Carrie's one of our members. Gordon Gott is a member. Thanks, Gordon Gott. Also, Corey B., one of our members. Again, we'll be back shortly. After I eat, we'll be back with another live stream.
No, he's about to get up.
One Sly Angel, thanks for watching and chatting. Wendy S. A Heimdall. Eric Johnson. Yes, Flagler Ghost Girl. I am taking a break to eat, then I am coming back on the air. Mary D. Fiore, if I'm wording that right. Thank you for being over there. Alstar was moderating too. Thank you, Alstar. And Trike with Mike. Graham K. Richard Reamer, and others. Patriot, Patrick Parker, and others. All right, so let me just do one last check for updates and make sure I'm not missing anything big. Again, my plan is to get off the air, eat something, and then come back on the air with a brand new live stream on this in a little bit. That is my plan. I'm not seeing any big updates right at this moment. Gert is watching from Holland. Thanks for watching from Holland, Gert. Yeah, I'm not seeing any big updates right this second. I'm looking, I'm checking various outlets, just not seeing it at the moment. Just not seeing it at the moment. Okay, so I'm going to get off the air now.
I don't know why Instagram is moving so slow.
I'm going to get off the air now, and I am going to take a break and eat something, and then we will come back on the air. Yeah, Renegade of Funk says, no breaking news, sadly. Wish I had good news for you, but I have no updates right at the moment. So that is it for now. We'll be back in a little bit with more coverage a little later on this story. You've been watching our live coverage on the missing Titanic. We'll be around... Actually, you know what? That's wrong. It's not 16 hours of air left. It would be, I think, 18 hours of air left. Yeah, because they said of air left. So I need to correct that.
Probably need to. I can't even hardly see shit on my Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah, my phone's about.
Sorry for the mistake there. That's not. I'm not going to hold exactly to that number, but that's as a general estimate based on the company's estimate of how much breathable air the submersible has. Anyways, roughly speaking, if what the company says about the submersible is true, there would be less than 24 hours until the air runs out. So certainly a dire situation. Certainly it's very dire that this submersible has been missing since Sunday morning and Wednesday, when it's now over around 72 hours later. Actually, it's longer than that. It's longer than that because according to the Coast Guard, the submersible dove Sunday morning, I think at 8 a.m. So it's been well over 72 hours since anyone's heard from the submersible. But we can keep up hope. And also there was news last night where the Coast Guard said that underwater noises had been heard from the search area. A couple media reports said that according to government organizations, banging noises had been heard along with other noises. But it is not clear exactly what those noises were. And the search continues. I'm sure the search is continuing very intensely. More ships have shown up in the search area. So anyways, we're going to bring you live coverage. And there's a press conference at 1 p.m. A press conference at 1 p.m. Coming up. I'm actually going to put that in the headline, I think, because I think people really want to know about the press conference. So I'm going to say press conference at 1 p.m. ET. Yeah, let me do that. So the press conference is in an hour and 22 minutes. And we will have live audio coverage of the press conference. And we'll show video after it ends. But we'll have live audio coverage of that press conference for you. Just give me 1 sec here. Let me just fix this headline. Sorry. And I think I have a typo here. Okay. Thanks for your patience as I fix this. And, the press conference is at the same time as yesterday, which suggests to me there's not some huge update that they're rushing to do. The timing of the press conference is the same as yesterday. It was announced at around 10 a.m., which is the same time they announced it yesterday, and it's at the same time as yesterday, which suggests to me there's no giant update. But maybe there will be a giant update, I don't know. But it's not like they're suddenly doing a press conference at a different time. (1 p.m. Eastern Time). No, there has not been a press conference while I was off the air. There has not been. All right, so we're going to give you the latest updates here. We're going to take your comments and questions on the air. You can write to me at @Lookner on Twitter, I want to say thanks to our moderators. Really appreciate all of our moderators in our chat rooms. Hang on 1 second here. Oh my gosh, it's not good. I just want to show you something real quick. Yeah, so something I was peeking at is, I've already posted about this on my Twitter. There was a gas explosion in Paris and several buildings were on fire. I already posted about this on Twitter. And Moshe Schwartz, I just saw this, says a portion of the Paris American Academy has collapsed following a major gas explosion in Paris, France. Video v. Media Venir. Anyways, I just retweeted that if you want to see it. A local official said that was a gas explosion. Looks like a pretty serious explosion there, so we'll be keeping an eye on that as well. I hope everybody's okay.
A gas explosion in France?
Okay, so again, you can write to me. Let me know what updates you're hearing. At Lookner on Twitter is where you can reach me. I do want to show you the latest from marine traffic. Let's check that out. First of all, this is marine traffic, and this is just the ship Polar Prince. Polar Prince is the mothership for the submersible. That was the ship that brought the submersible to the Titanic wreck site. And that ship has just been searching the last couple days. This is where it is. It's about 400 miles south of Newfoundland, about 900 miles east of Cape Cod. And there's other ships out there, but for now I just want to show you the path that this ship has been taking. This is... Yeah, that's the up-to-date path right there. So this is the last, it's about the last 30 hours or so. What does this say? What this is. Oh, I see. So this is the last like day and a half, and you can see the ship is just kind of going back and forth doing searches. It looks like doing searches. I believe it hasn't been searches, but just doing these back and forth patterns in the area. So let's get rid of that ship right now and look at all the ships in the area. This filter is still on. He said filters. Right, so what we're talking about is there's Newfoundland there, this area right in here. So let's zoom in here. You know, I had thought I had fixed this, but I need to go layers. What do I want to do? No, I don't. Map features, vessel names. That's what I want. Okay, so we have the Polar Prince, and that is the mothership. All of these other ships are helping out with the search. The Scandi Vinland, the John Cabot, and the Deep Energy are all helping out with the search. That distance is about 10 miles between these two ships. Just to give you a feel for the distance between these two ships, it's about 10 miles. That's just a few miles here. So, and also the Atlantic Merlin, I believe, is helping out with the search. Let me just show you information about some of these search vessels. But those are all ships helping with the search. Let's see, where did I see it? Yes, the U.S. Coast Guard actually posted about this. If you look here, what the Coast Guard said this morning is 3 vessels have arrived on scene Wednesday morning. The John Cabot has side-scanning sonar capabilities, and is conducting search patterns alongside the Skandi Vinland and the Atlantic Merlin. So all of those ships, Skandi Vinland, John Cabot, Atlantic Merlin, are all doing search, and we know that the Deep Energy is also helping the search. They have a couple of remotely operated vehicles, reportedly, that are being used in the search as well. So all 5 of these ships are involved in the search. And if I can get like the, let me see what the past tracks of this is. Right, so this down here is the John Cabot, and look at what the John Cabot is doing. This is the John Cabot search track once it got to the area. I'll play it for you. Oops, I didn't want to play it for you like that. Anyways, let's go down here. So the John Cabot, this is what this ship is doing. Am I going to have to do this again? Sorry. I'm sorry. It's this weird thing. I apologize. I'll get you the pattern it's doing. There we are. Okay. John Cabot. So the last day or so, oops, it's kind of fidgety here. You can see it right there. Oops, you can't even see it. There it is. So it's been doing this. It's kind of hard to see, but wow. Look at that search pattern. Look at that search pattern. Look what it did. This it was doing basically last night around 11 p.m. or 10 or 11 p.m. Actually, it was more than that last night. It looks like a lot of this was this morning. That was this morning at 4 a.m. So overnight, look at that search pattern by the John Cabot ship right there. That's what that ship was doing. And again, if we just look at here, it looks to me like all of this was overnight. That area, it's really interesting. This area is about a mile by a mile. I can actually do this here. Distance, I'm actually going to post this. It's very interesting. Overnight, the ship moved in this pattern over area roughly 1 mile square. 1 square mile. From marinetraffic.com. It's really interesting. Let me show you again what the John Cabot looks like. Pull it up here. Here it is. Oops. Here is the John Cabot, CCGS John Cabot. There's the ship right there. Oops. That's it, from marine traffic. So that ship, as I said, did that pattern overnight. About 1 square mile. Grid pattern, says Allie. And maybe, look, I mean, maybe it's focusing on the area where they heard the underwater noises. I don't know. Okay, so that's that ship. And then let's get away from that ship. We have the John Cabot. Now let's look at, there's the mothership Polar Prince. Let's look at Skandi Vinland. Past track Skandi Vinland, which is also involved in the search. That's the Skandi Vinland. And right now the Skandi Vinland is over here. This was this overnight. See where it's in red here, overnight? And the speed is slow when it does that. Kind of sped up to about 12 knots here. But here it was going quite slow in this triangle pattern. That was overnight. So just to repeat here, we're talking about this area in here. And if you zoom in, you can see Deep Energy, which is involved in the search, Skandi Vinland involved in the search, John Cabot involved in the search, Polar Prince is involved in the search, and Polar Prince is the mothership for the submersible. And Atlantic Merlin is also is involved with the search as well.
Atlantic Merlin?
This is interesting. Look at this, Atlantic Merlin. That is what the Atlantic Merlin is doing right now. Or is that what it was doing? Where is it right now? No, that's what it's doing. There it is right there. That's Atlantic Merlin.
What is it doing, Steve? 'Cause I can't look right now.
Yes,
Okay.
right. The Coast Guard actually said that the Atlantic Merlin was one of that the Atlantic Merlin, the Skandi Vinland, and the John Cabot are all conducting search patterns. So this is a confirmed search pattern being conducted by Atlantic Merlin. Is anyone searching below the surface? Oh, I'm guessing that some of some of these ships are using sonar stuff, or they've dropped buoys or whatever. So there's not just surface searches going on. I mean, we actually heard that, the John Cabot has side scanning sonar capabilities, says USCG, says the Coast Guard. So I can't confirm what each ship is doing, but we know from the Coast Guard they're searching both on the surface and underwater. That's interesting. Okay. Press conference is at 1 p.m. I'm watching on TV right now. They're showing a clip. I actually know someone who was on this ship. He's a friend of mine, but I haven't talked to him in a while. But he was on the ship last year, and he's been doing interviews. I think he did a couple interviews about it, and they're playing one of them on TV. I can't believe he went on it. I'm glad he's okay. Let's see here. Hang on. Okay, so we're going to talk about the banging noises. I have not heard any kind of major updates on the noise. The noise heard overnight, the underwater noise. So we'll give you the latest on that. And I want to take some comments and questions from you guys. Also, hey, really quick, I just showed you the what's going on with marine traffic. Let's just check flight radar and let's just check the flight radars and get updated with that. By the way, quick thanks to OB Wannabe, who says, if I were in dire straits, I'd tap SOS. Thanks to our new members, Dr. Suri and Ice Cream Assassin and Gail, Nictula and Barb. And thank you, Captain Skittles, as well. And let's hope that this submersible needs to be found. There's not much time left air-wise, and the submersible needs to be found, and then if it's found, it needs to be recovered, or the crew needs to be gotten out or something. So it's obviously a dire situation with the amount of time left. Okay, I'm looking here at ADSB Exchange. Are they showing anything in the area? Let's go to military planes. I don't see anything here, which would be the search area. Doesn't mean a lot of times the planes are not coming up on the radar searches, so that doesn't there very well might be a number of planes searching and just not actually on the radar. I am not seeing anything on ADSB Exchange right now. Let me look at Flight Radar 24. My guess is we won't see anything there either. Go to the most track. Oh, St. John's. Yeah, these helicopters, people have been tracking these helicopters. This helicopter leaving from St. John's and going east like this, I believe this helicopter regularly does this pattern, and it's not involved with a search. Maybe it goes to an oil rig or something, I don't know, but you could go back and look and see previous days before the submersible went missing, it doing similar flights, I believe, because we've seen these helicopters done this, and I've checked a couple of them, and you look back at the history, and they've done this similar flight again and again and again. So I don't believe that's involved in the search at all. So I'm not seeing anything on the flight radar right now. And there might be other planes. One of our viewers says Canadian P3 over Nova Scotia heading that way. Maybe it is. I mean, there's also planes that just fly for the military that aren't involved in the search. So I'll keep an eye out. But my guess is that there's planes in the search area that we can't see on the radar.
Boozy, what's the fuck up, bro? You sitting here staring at this brick wall for hours.
Okay, give me one moment here. Let me just check a couple things.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
I I am just seeing if there's anything on the last few minutes, and I'm not seeing any kind of big update in the last few minutes.
Alright, I'm gonna have to come back to Steve because I just seen another video just now. It says
Reddit's meltdown last week was the beginning of the end of the open and free internet that we know today, and it all relates to artificial intelligence. So first, what happened? A few weeks ago, Reddit's management decided to increase the cost of their API from free to actually paid. And that means third-party developers that are building amazing applications on top of Reddit's data, for many of them, it doesn't make financial sense to continue.
nah, they
operation. One of the biggest applications is
nah, bruh. They still ain't found that shit. Them people, I listened to this one dude on Instagram, and he's some kind of submarine specialist. He's like, look, man, y'all might as well stop looking. It's like, for two reasons. One, they're so deep underwater, just the pressure alone. He's like, to pull that shit up, it'll take an act of God. Once you pass a certain point of depth, he's like, if that craft can't help power itself to come up, another craft, another little submarine that can make it down there is not going to have enough energy to pull itself and that craft back up. Dude's like, if they're stuck down there, they're fucking stuck down there. Here's like, what most likely has happened since communications failed so abruptly. He's like, man, there was some kind of air leak or a gap or something, and that shit imploded. And it imploded and crushed and killed everybody. It broke into a bunch of pieces. The heavier pieces sank to the bottom. The pieces that are light enough to float back to the top are probably so small that you won't see those either. So you're not going to go down there and find a whole craft. And with underwater currents and shit, you might not even find the biggest chunks of this thing. And you're not going to find the littlest pieces of this thing. And that was from a professional submariner, submarine pro guy or whatever. He's like, dude, stop. I mean, giving some people a little bit of hope, but that's basically what he said, bro. Yo, that's, and as few words as possible, that's what that motherfucker said, yo. Let's move on. You know what I'm saying? Cut the losses now. Because y'all just wasting resources, energy, time, and them people not coming up. And he started out as like, I hate to say it this way. You know what I'm saying? I hate to call a turd, but this is a fucked up situation. And there ain't too many ways around this shit. You're fucking 13,000 feet, bro. Stop. The only thing I wonder is that the deeper you go, the greater the water pressure. Because you have all this water sitting on top of you and crushing everything. And so, how can a submarine how can the engineers and designers know that it will be able to withstand such depths without actually taking it down there and testing it out? Well, how deep can it go? Oh, it's about 13,000 feet. Well, how do you know? Have you taken it 13,000 feet down before? No, but we tested it. And that's what I want to know, like, how do you test for pressure? That might be a documentary or something I can find on YouTube. How are submarines tested to withstand deep depths of crushing water pressure? Because you're talking about millions of pounds per square inch of pressure that's on this thing. And that's why the cabin has to be pressurized, so it's actually pushing out against the water as well. And so if you lose equilibrium in that delicate balance of internal pressure and external pressure, then like that dude said, that shit just implodes, man. And fucking crushes everybody like you stomping on a fucking tin can. Not you, like an elephant is stomping on a little Pepsi can. That's what the fuck happens. I mean, it's cool and it's science and exploration. But man, humans ain't meant to be everywhere, man. Man, nigga, you don't got no gills, no flippers, or no fins. You're not meant to be that deep down. To go look at some ghost shit. Y'all motherfuckers crazy. That was it. Wasn't that that was over in Asia somewhere. I forgot where that shit went down at over the water. I remember that shit, yo. They never found nothing. I don't know, man. If there is some way that God or the universe or whatever has found it in itself to spare these motherfuckers and to bring them back to the surface, I would be completely and utterly amazed. I'm trying to do so much without getting out my fucking chair. Damn, I had a stretch all the way back there. I would be fucking amazed, man. But we all need that amazement in our lives right now. I hope they get saved.
Called Apollo. It is basically Reddit for mobile, but much better than their native Reddit app. The author of Apollo said that with their new pricing, his app was going to cost on the order of $20 million per year just to run it. So he decided he's shutting it down. But that's just the start. Twitter just a few months ago implemented something similar and started charging for their API as well. And those two companies are not the last. There's going to be more and more companies that have proprietary data that are just shutting down and becoming highly siloed. So why are they doing that? Well, it all comes back to large language models. Artificial intelligence, or large language models, require a vast amount of high quality and structured data to be trained. And the better and more high quality the data is, the more unique the data sets, the better the model will be. And so when a company like OpenAI gets their hands on a unique data set that no other large language model has, that is a competitive advantage for OpenAI. So all of a sudden, because of this proliferation of large language models over the last 6 months, data has become increasingly valuable. Data was already super valuable, but now we're talking about exponential increases in the value of data sets. Right now, most large language models are built on the same corpus of open source data sets. So many artificial intelligence companies are scrambling to get their hands on better and better data, and especially unique data. And the outcome of all of this is that websites that have vast amounts of really unique and awesome data like Reddit, like Stack Overflow, like Twitter, are shutting down. They're becoming siloed. And this is much different from what we've experienced over the last 10 or 15 years. About 15 years ago, companies started to realize that if they open up their APIs and allow third-party developers to build on top of their data sets, incredible ecosystems would be built. And the users get a ton of value, the third-party developers get a ton of value, and of course the company gets a ton of value. But now we have a fourth player. These large language models are ingesting data and becoming hyper valuable very quickly. And these companies realize that and don't want to give out their data anymore. They either want to sell that data or they want to create their own large language models. And Reddit is a perfect example of this. Reddit has so much incredible data and they don't want to sell it anymore. They're looking to IPO, and with monetization in their eyes, they've realized how valuable their data set is, and now they're going to charge for it. This truly looks like the first step of a transformation of the open and free internet that we know today. And this, in my opinion, is really bad. I'm a huge proponent of artificial intelligence, as you know from watching any of the videos on my channel. I think the value that it's going to bring to the world is incredible. But this is one side effect that I did not see coming. As these apps shut down their APIs and become highly isolated and siloed, the amount of functionality and features built by third-party engineers is going to decrease rapidly. And that's going to hurt me as a consumer of these applications. And there's also another way to think about this. I, as a user, am giving up my data to companies like Reddit, to companies like Stack Overflow, to Twitter. Users are the one writing the content. We are creating the value for the companies, and then they're going ahead, closing it down, hurting us, and then selling our data to others. Now, what do we get as users from this new model? I believe there's an opportunity for an even better model, where the end user gets paid for their contributions to the data sets that these companies have. And really, we should have all of the power. And we're seeing it with the meltdown of Reddit last week. Now, I really hope the outcome of the Reddit meltdown isn't that it just kind of passes by and that we actually get significant change and users benefit in the end. But I'm not sure that's going to happen. But we really do have all of the cards here because we're creating the value. More and more so, I believe that the end user needs to actually own the data completely. But these companies are not incentivized in any way to legally allow us to do so. As soon as we post something on Reddit, as soon as we post something on Twitter, Reddit, they own that data. And that's really bad for the end users. Elon Musk at Twitter already said that he plans on sharing revenue with content creators on Twitter, which is a great first step. YouTube obviously shares a percentage of their ad revenue with creators, but many companies still don't do that, Reddit being one of them. This is a ripe time for another platform to come along and disrupt Reddit, to disrupt any other company that is ingesting data from their users, letting their users do the hard work, and not giving them any cut of it. And there's another wrinkle to this story. In an article by Dimitri Mazin, he takes it a step further and says there might be actual collusion happening between Reddit and OpenAI. And although it's all theories right now, it kind of makes sense. OpenAI is founded and run by Sam Altman, who is deep in the Y Combinator community. He was the president for years. He was also a former founder going through the Y Combinator program. Also, he's very close with Reddit. He's an investor. Y Combinator. And he probably sees Reddit's data set as the ultimate competitive advantage, the ultimate moat against other large language models. And what Dimitri theorizes is that Reddit might be already sharing their data with OpenAI, and Sam Altman has convinced Reddit's founders to close down their API so that only OpenAI has access to that incredibly valuable data set. And so we're in a really pivotal time for the internet. Right before our eyes, the open and free internet that we've all enjoyed over the last 10, 15, maybe 20 years is starting to close down. As data sets become more valuable, companies are less incentivized to share those data sets with third-party developers to build incredible functionality on top of it. So what do we need to do? First, I think there's a ripe opportunity for entrepreneurs to come along and build business models that reward users for their content contributions. Next, I think the Reddit blackout is great. I really hope it actually does something, but I'm not confident. Last, having a thriving open source ecosystem to compete against closed source artificial intelligence companies is going to be critical. What do you think the future of the internet is going to look like? Let me know in the comments. If you like this video, please consider giving me a like and subscribe. This is very near and dear to my heart. I'll see you in the next one.
There's nothing more powerful than you making your thing happen. Really go.
So basically, people have been saying this for a long time. Yeah, you pay for your internet service, and so that's how you pay for internet. But just like some companies now have optional subscriptions, like YouTube. You can I watch YouTube for free all the time, but there is a paid subscription where you don't have to watch commercials. And let me see. And some people will opt for that option so they don't have to deal with advertisements all the time. But a lot of people have been theorizing that everything will be subscription based. So if you want, that's just like I think Elon Musk is doing that with Twitter, where you have to pay for your Twitter account or something, so that we know you're a real person, you're not a bot. And that's his reasoning for it. But I think a lot of other companies are just gonna make you pay for that shit. Yeah, just why it's just that's all it is. That's why I don't need the fucking paid subscription. I mean, commercials are annoying, but I'm not gonna pay you just to skip a fucking commercial. Fuck that shit. But now, what if you had to pay for your Instagram account, a monthly subscription fee, or pay a monthly subscription fee for your Facebook account? You know, so I think these platforms, like the internet, will be paid access now. Because once again, like he was saying, like data is so fucking valuable. They come up at the worst times. As soon as that shit getting good, that's when they want to hit you with the pop pop. And then the ones you can't skip, them be the ones that piss me off. I can't even skip this ad. Come on, man.
10 seconds out, Joe Rogan challenges Dr. Peter Hotez to debate RFK on the subject of vaccines. Is this thirst for combative discourse due to science being treated as dogma during the pandemic? Is there about to be an explosion of conflict around science? What is science for anyway? Hello there, you 6.4 million awakening wonders. Thanks for joining me on this voyage towards truth and freedom, which will involve taking opinions from a variety of sources and bringing about synthesis. At least that's what I believe. Let me know what you believe in the comments, and hit that notification bell, ding ding, once more, because we need you to know when we make this content. The world is changing fast. During the pandemic period, there plainly was censorship. It's now been admitted that true information was censored, shut down, taken off social media sites.
Asked for a bunch of things to be censored that in retrospect ended up being debatable or true.
In order, in fact, to ensure that a prevailing mentality went unchallenged. Because of powerful media figures like Joe Rogan being able to bypass the attempts of the mainstream to censor them, we now live in a different space. Elon Musk owns Twitter now. He's got a different attitude towards centralised power and authoritarianism.
And what about the fact that the BBC was put under pressure by the British government to change its editorial policy? Are you aware of that?
Whether you love Elon Musk or loathe him, you have to acknowledge that he is facilitating a different type of debate. Enter into this conversation RFK, a politician with a powerful surname and very strong views on certain medications. The establishment now cannot avoid conversation, discourse and debate without censorship, without smearing, without shutting down conversations on the basis of it being misinformation or malinformation. But why has it become so contentious? Why has it become so combative? Let me know in the comments what exactly you feel about the ongoing debate around medications and restrictions and regulations that were implemented during the pandemic period. Let's have a look at this Twitter spat, this Twitter brawl, this Twitter, Rumble, and see, can we have grown-up adult conversations in good faith that are directed towards finding mutually beneficial solutions that take into account that science is often a subset of capitalism and commercial incentives, that the state has been negligent in certain areas, but we have to be able to enter into good faith conversations where all sides are listened to appropriately. Let's have a look at Dr. Peter Hotez now on MSNBC show with Mehdi Hussein to see what claims he's made that have caused this furore to escalate to the point where it's become a global social media phenomenon.
So the point is anti-vaccine disinformation.
As soon as I see the spectacles and the bow tie, I think this is not someone who can go toe-to-toe with Joe Rogan. Now, I know Joe Rogan is facilitating a potential debate that Dr. Peter Hotez is, it seems, potentially avoiding. What we want to be wary of on this channel is this conversation falling into tribalism and becoming overly energized, because actually what we're trying to deal with is information. You know we've had RFK on our show. You know I've been on Joe Rogan's show a bunch of times. We're still organising our Elon Musk conversation, and I'm friendly with Mehdi Hussein. So many of the people involved in this I'm familiar with, friendly with. What we're keen to support is the possibility of a conversation about the efficacy of medication, the mainstream media's appetite for censorship, the possibility that the pharmaceutical industry needs to be radically regulated in a new way, and that the mainstream media needs to responsibly report on all sides of the conversation. He, Dr. Peter Hotez, he's just another human being. He's not the living totem pole of the system's desire to vaccinate. I'm sure he's got very particular perspectives. I understand that maybe he's got an autistic kid, has he? I mean, that you've got to be kind of sympathetic towards him on that basis. Doesn't he advocate for vaccines being available without patent in territories where they aren't being overly commercialised and they're not unduly profitable? We don't need to get into a situation where we victimise any individual, although culturally, I guess it's pretty obvious that I've more in common with RFK and Elon Musk when it comes to this particular issue. But what's more important than those kind of affiliations and that kind of natural affinity is good faith conversations. Where we have to get to is the point where you sort of calmly, patiently listen to people that you disagree with and then present your perspective on the situation. What is assumed at the moment is we live in a system where both sides want to seize control and annihilate the other side, whether that's the Democrats and Republicans in American politics, even though both sides are owned by the same corporate interests, and even around this vaccine debate. I think a lot of people feel they were shut down during the pandemic period, like those of us that were like, whoa, are we getting a bit carried away here? Isn't this like an opportunity to profit and an opportunity to regulate? There was all sorts of conversations that weren't talked about. What about natural immunity? What about vitamin D? Shouldn't we be eating well and doing exercise? And Joe Rogan was carrying a lot of those messages as a result of conversations with experts. So I imagine he feels somewhat frustrated. Then someone like RFK, him being dismissed as a sort of a wackadoodle, I guess he's going to be pretty antagonistic. So both sides have at different points engaged in the conversation in rhetorical ways that are not advantageous to a beneficial, agreeable consensus being achieved. We can't be flag waving and snarling and teeth baring with something as important as this. This isn't about victory for a side, this is about victory for humanity.
I offered to come and go on Joe Rogan again. I've been on a couple of times and have that discussion with him, but not to turn it into the Jerry Springer show with having RFK Jr. on.
It's sad because I said I'm so fed up with the debate me. You've already spoken and written about COVID vaccines. I think you've been on MSNBC and other channels hundreds of times since the start of the pandemic.
That somewhat glosses over the plain, observable fact that during the period between the end of 2019 to where we are now, there have been a good many revelations about the nature of the vaccines, their efficacy, and regulations that were taken during lockdown that have been disproven, challenged, debated, among them most notably that the mainstream media and social media participated with the state and state agencies in censoring and controlling the narrative. If you want to take that in the most optimistic way, in order that we all are protected and kept safe. But, you know, if you're a person that doubts the motives of the state and corporations, the whole thing becomes a little more complex. Wouldn't it be nice to see Mehdi Hussein say, look, let's be honest, since the beginning of the pandemic, it's become pretty clear that many things that were said on this very channel were not true, and the people like Joe Rogan were vilified. And RFK, who's a valid voice, who's done a lot of research into this subject and written a best-selling book, ought to be included in the conversation. And it's plain that people are trying to shut down those kind of contributions. Everyone just doubles down on their own side the whole time. You never hear these types of media outlets go, we shouldn't have said ivermectin is a horse paste. That discredited us. We look foolish because of that. We shouldn't have done that. We shouldn't have made claims about the vaccine that were not proven and have subsequently been disproven. We shouldn't have done that. We should acknowledge that it wasn't true. We should be open about looking at the negative impact of lockdown. We shouldn't have had Don Lemon say, yes, we should shame the unvaccinated, until you get a clear mea culpa. That's what tribalism and oppositionism leads to, a kind of aggressive, testosterone-fueled judgment, when what might be better is a little yielding open-mindedness and observation of what the actual target, what the actual intentions are.
And I would say, I don't know if you've agreed to debate or not. My advice is not to. People might find that surprising because I wrote a book about debate. But I just think there's a time and a place for a debate.
The time and the place for debate is situations where we get to propagate one particular view and we don't have to acknowledge the mistakes and errors that have been made. But I would say a conversation between someone like RFK, who, to use the British phrase, knows his onions, someone like Peter Hotez, who's clearly scientifically grounded, would be valuable if it was done in the right spirit. And my personal opinion, Joe Rogan's exactly the person to curate such a debate, because he's shown that he's for real. The thing that he does, he's done when there's no money in it. He's kept doing it. He's listened to voices from both sides. He's remained consistent. I think he's a reliable person. He's not doubling down and advocating for a particular point of view. That's my opinion, but I've got my own biases, obviously. Let me know in the comments if you agree. We can't keep making this fantastic content without reliable sponsors. Look at this commercial for one of them now. Look how funny I've made it, for God's sake. Is it me? Or does the future feel more insecure and uncertain? Wars, pandemics, lies, trickery. My cats keep having kittens. Last one first. For those who are in the United States, there is a way to secure your hard-earned nest egg. American Hartford Gold make it easy to protect your savings and retirement accounts with physical gold and silver. With one phone call, they can have physical gold and silver delivered right to your door, or inside a qualifying retirement account like your IRA or 401k. American Hartford Gold is the highest rated firm in the US with an A+ rating from the BBB and thousands of satisfied clients. Right now, they will give you up to $5,000 of free silver on your first qualifying order. This offer is only for US customers. Call 866-505-8315. That's 866-505-8315. Or simply text BRAND to 998899. Get up to $5,000 of silver and protect your future in this crazy, crazy world with some solid precious metals literally made in stars.
I don't think a historian of World War II should debate a Holocaust denier. That's my analogy here. I don't think these debates between experts and cranks do anything other than elevate the cranks.
Creating the category of expert and crank is part of the problem. People do not like, above all else, this I have learned, elitism. The idea that your opinion doesn't matter. Shut up. Because guess what? The people that were saying that were wrong about so many vital issues that they've discredited almost the concept of being an expert. Because an expert that is funded by certain financial interests, that operates to support and lobby for certain financial interests, isn't really an expert at all. It's just an object of the new orthodoxy that promulgates a particular message. Science has to be an ongoing discourse that incorporates information from both sides. This, perhaps above all else, is a subject that does need to be debated, because here's what I believe: the pandemic was exploited and utilised in order to create opportunities to regulate and profit. Not saying that the pandemic wasn't a real thing, it was exploited. The same way that every crisis is exploited. That's a piece of long-standing left-wing analysis. Crisis, response, solution.
But in science, we don't typically do debates. What we do is we write scientific papers, we present our findings in front of a critical audience of our peers to solicit their input and suggestions, but one doesn't typically debate science.
What type of science are we talking about when Pfizer lobbied to have the information concealed and not revealed for 75 years? What kind of science do you have when increasingly people think that this virus emerged from a scientific laboratory in Wuhan that was funded by scientific interests in the United States of America? Science itself, of course, means the analysis of data through experimentation and verification. It's not the meaning of the word science that's being debated, it's the authenticity of the type of science that's been deployed in the last few years to legitimize authoritarianism and profiteering. Let me know in the comments if you agree.
Maybe the one-off discussion of evolution versus creationism and that sort of thing, but that's not what we do in science.
Even there, what's being doubled down on is a kind of materialistic worldview that has in it the exact elitism that people are getting sick of. That's why debate and conversation is important. Only the studies that are funded are getting done. The way that the information is presented is often dubious. Sometimes trials are carried out numerous times. And the FDA, for example, the regulatory body of the pharmaceutical industries in the United States, is funded to the tune of 75% at least by those pharmaceutical companies. So to suggest that science is a catch-all way of denying corruption or potential opposition is exactly the same way that the church 500 years ago would have said, yeah, but God says it's wrong. It's just the use of an authoritarian symbol to shut down debate, and that is literally the problem. Dr. Peter Hotez, the Dean of the National School of Tropical Medicine at Baylor College of Medicine, told MSNBC's Mehdi Hassan that he'd been the target of an overwhelming harassment campaign since the tres hombres of RFK Jr., Joe Rogan and Elon Musk ganged up to pressure him into a live debate over the safety and efficacy of COVID-19 vaccines. Dr. Hotez said the attacks from the anti-vaccine lobby included physical stalking and incessant threatening emails. If you want to talk about an anti-vaccine lobby, do you also want to talk about a vaccine lobby? If you want to talk about bullying, do you want to talk about Don Lemon's rhetoric around shaming or the ivermectin horse paste debacle on CNN? It's okay to say stuff like that, to make those kind of accusations. There's no doubt that Joe Rogan is a powerful individual personally and now culturally, and the same could be said of Elon Musk and RFK in various ways also. But to delegitimize their request for a debate on the basis of bullying and lobbying without acknowledging that bullying and lobbying was one of the key problems that defined the pandemic period is disingenuous. My main point is, imagine yourself on the other side of the argument. Think about the thing you believe. Like, it's pretty clear what side I'm on, culturally and ideologically and just through affinity, affiliation and personal history. But what I'm trying to think is Dr. Peter Hotez is a human being. I'm trying to think everyone is just like me, trying to do their best in the world. These like nitpicky, contentious issues have to be approached open-heartedly. How are we going to get somewhere? And I don't believe that the mainstream media, the pharmaceutical industry, big tech and the state, particularly with its globalist tendencies, has behaved in a good faith way in the last few years. I think the intention has been opportunistic regulation and opportunistic profiteering. And that has to be confronted, and having a conversation about that is a perfectly good way to air those issues. The stuff online is just total wackadoodle. And let's face it, when you have RFK Jr. and Joe Rogan and Elon Musk all tag teaming those tres hombres at the same time, he told MSNBC. That probably includes just about every follower on Twitter, so it's pretty overwhelming. But it was also pretty overwhelming when the FBI was censoring information that was true. It was pretty overwhelming when Joe Rogan was subject to just an all-pervading media attack because he said I got better in 3 days. It was literally an immersive experience. Information was censored, discredited, called conspiracy theories. So it's extraordinary, actually, to see these type of arguments advanced at this time. What they're advancing now is what they should have considered then. Are we being bullying? Are we just responding to lobbying? Are we shutting down conversation? Are we victimizing individuals, shaming them even when we should be listening? Let me know in the comments. The saga began after Dr. Hotez shared a Vice article that debunked the orgy of unchecked vaccine misinformation by RFK Jr. and Rogan during a 3-hour interview last week. So in a sense, Dr. Hotez invited this. It's not like it was an unsolicited attack. He went, this is bunk and hokum and nonsense. Here's a rebuttal. On Saturday, Rogan challenged the world-renowned vaccine expert to debate COVID vaccines with RFK Jr. Peter, if you claim what RFK Jr. is saying is misinformation, I'm offering you $100,000 to the charity of your choice if you're willing to debate him on my show with no time limit, he tweeted. Hotez replied he was prepared to come on Rogan's podcast to have a meaningful discussion. Some people say there was another tweet that was deleted before eventually saying he would join. So, like, even this piece of text that we're using is biased. Look, Mr. Musk then joined in on the pylon, right? So this is framing the information in a particular way. He's afraid of public debate because he knows he's wrong. I don't know, man. You can say that's joining a pylon. Have there been pylons during the pandemic period? Have there been people that have been condemned and criticised? There has to be principles and values. There have to be. Otherwise, none of this stuff's going to work. Either you believe it's wrong to have a pylon, or you don't like pylons when you're being piled on, but you like piling on up. You've got to have values. values. If you have no values, you're in trouble. In an interview on Sunday night, Dr. Hotez said the claim that he was a shield for Big Pharma was exasperating. I make low-cost, patent-free vaccines for low and middle-income countries that led to 100 million doses being administered in India and Indonesia. No patents, minimal strings attached. So we actually found a way to bypass the pharma companies, and yet RFK Jr. incessantly calls me a pharma shill. If you believe that vaccines are part of the solution, and of course a lot of people do, then ensuring that people have access to them, you'd say is a good thing and a righteous thing. So again, it's interesting to approach information like this in an unbiased and open-hearted way, and not to rely on simplistic tropes about good and bad, because I think life's a bit more complicated than that. In January, the World Health Organization released a video in which Hotez claims anti-vaccine activism is more dangerous than terrorism, nuclear proliferation and gun violence. But yeah, the WHO did do that. We covered that. That's up on our channel. We have to recognise that anti-vaccine activism, which I actually call anti-science aggression, has now become a major killing force globally, said Hotez. Well, that's the kind of thing that does shut down debate and conversation, and I would strongly disagree with that. Anti-science aggression is worse than terrorism. So that's an interesting set of ideas to conflate. Let me know in the comments if you think that's helpful to a necessary global conversation where there are scars that need to be healed. Even in the most contentious issues, I believe conversation can't hurt. That's how we advance. Otherwise, we're just going to ossify our oppositionist positions, you know? Meanwhile, YouTube's war against RFK Jr. continues as the big tech platform has now deleted a 90-minute podcast starring Kennedy in
Research shows nostalgia can help you remember ads. So customize and save with Liberty Mutual.
Conversation with Canadian psychologist Dr. Jordan Peterson, which encompassed topics from climate change to COVID-19 measures. So what we have here is a social media furore around a vital, significant and defining issue of the last 3 years, which encompasses big pharma, censorship, state power, who has the right to control and censor information. You know the kind of stories we cover here on this platform, and you know where we stand on globalism, the power and influence of big pharma that they're able to exert through donations. Imagine if big pharma was independent regulated and they were unable to make donations to the political class and they were unable to sponsor media. Do you imagine then you might get a less biased conversation on these subjects? Would they be interesting regulations to introduce? Then perhaps what you have is an environment where people could talk about science appropriately, in the right way. What does your experimentation reveal? What doesn't it reveal? Where is there still room for conjecture? Where is there still room for individual freedom? I would argue that unless you're genuinely and legitimately building a society where it's acknowledged and understood by all that we're all participating together in a global organism and we all love one another, that would include radical changes economically. To go and say, well look, we've all got to undertake these measures because, as you know, our society is based on fairness and unity. You can see that in our political systems, you can see it in our financial systems, you can see it in the way that conflicts are resolved, you can see that in the way that democracy and elections are conducted. Unless you've got that kind of society, you have to recognise that this is a quite tribalised society where people are entitled to have different views, where communities should have decentralised, democratic, localised institutions by which they run themselves. And in such an environment, debate and conversation should be encouraged. The only people that benefit from closing down debate and conversation are those that seek to control the narrative. And usually, they're not seeking to control the narrative in order to protect you, but in order to control you. Protection and control are starting to intersect. I think that's one of the main things we learned during the pandemic. People that are saying they're going to protect you want to control you. That doesn't mean that science isn't legitimate. That doesn't mean that great work isn't being done. That doesn't mean that there aren't perfectly reasonable, brilliant people on both sides of almost any conversation. It just means we've forgotten that. We've forgotten that in order to have a debate, you have to approach people with an open hand and an open heart in good faith and be willing to listen to views that you don't like. You have to be willing to afford other people their freedom. But that's just what I think. Why don't you let me know what you think in the comments? Let me know what side of this conversation you're on. Let me know where you stand. Let me know if you're willing to approach people in good faith and without judgment. If you enjoyed this video, have a look at either of these. Give the video a like and remember to comment. It really helps us. We're on every day on Rumble, and my comedy special Brandemic, in which I talk about these things in depth, humorously, is available now. It premieres on the 25th of June. It's self-made, uncensored. You'll love it. More important than any of that is that you please stay free.
Hey, it's Tucker Carlson. This spring, word began to circulate in Washington that the House Oversight Committee, under its new chairman, Congressman Jamie Comer, had discovered criminal behavior after reviewing thousands of pages of the Biden family's bank records. Now, publicly, to the extent they responded at all, the White House dismissed the investigation as, of course, politically motivated. In any case, irrelevant. Hunter Biden was an adult, so his business dealings had nothing at all to do with his father, in this case, the President of the United States. But in private, everybody understood it wasn't quite that simple. There has long been overwhelming evidence that Joe and Hunter Biden's financial lives are not separate at all, but deeply intertwined. Now, Hunter Biden's laptop, there's a suggestion that the two of them even at one point shared a bank account. And of course, Hunter Biden wrote himself that he kicked back cash from his foreign business deals to his father. He wrote that bitterly. So the Oversight Committee's investigation was potentially a disaster for the White House, a scandal, possibly even the prelude to criminal charges. So in order to get ahead of all of that, Joe Biden's handlers did the one thing they could do. They set up an MSNBC interview to preemptively whitewash whatever Jamie Comer might find. Here's the results of that. This aired on May 5th.
Sir, there is something personal that's affecting you. Your son, while there's no ties to you, could be charged by your Department of Justice. How will that impact your presidency?
First of all, my son's done nothing wrong. I trust him. I have faith in him. And it impacts my presidency by making me feel proud of him.
Okay, time for the master class. For free, you can audit it. Here it goes. Sir, showing appropriate to be interested in, but personal, a sad family tragedy. That's the framing. And then this, a sentence choreographed to the letter. Your son, while there's no ties to you, could be charged by your Department of Justice. Got that? Well, there's no tie to you. So the answer is, in fact, in the question. Whatever Hunter Biden goes down for, and we know he is going to be charged because it's easy America. 5 days later, the Oversight Committee released its findings, and they were, in fact, devastating. Quote, bank records show the Biden family, their business associates, and their companies, their many companies, received over $10 million from foreign nationals and their related companies, the committee wrote. Investigators had, quote, identified payments to Biden family members from foreign companies while Joe Biden served as vice president and after he left public office. So actually there was something there. It was a scandal. Racketeering, money laundering, wire fraud, those are some of the crimes the Bidens seem to have committed, in addition, of course, to selling out the United States for cash. So what would happen to them? Well, Donald Trump had an idea, quote, they'll hit Hunter with something small to make their strike on me look fair. Trump wrote that about 2 weeks ago, and it turned out those were prescient words. This morning, Hunter Biden pleaded guilty to pretty much nothing. Biden pled to 2 misdemeanor tax evasion charges, then entered a diversion on a federal gun charge. That's it. As far as Merrick Garland's Justice Department is concerned, Hunter Biden is done. There was no pre-dawn raid carried live simultaneously on CNN. There was no perp walk, no handcuffs, no press conference. Above all, there was no felony. Hunter Biden, who broke federal gun laws, can still carry a gun. It's like it all never happened. In fact, the Justice Department just baptized Hunter Biden. A lifetime of sins washed away in an instant. It was a secular miracle. Most miraculous of all, Hunter Biden somehow escaped a FARA charge. FARA is the Foreign Agent Registration Act, and it is exactly what its name suggests. Under federal law, if you are acting as an agent of a foreign nation in Washington, you are required to register with our government to let everybody know. Well, for decades, pretty much nobody in Washington did register under FARA, and precisely no one was ever prosecuted for it. No one. But starting several years ago, the Justice Department began sending people to prison on FARA violations. The official explanation was, we're cracking down on foreign influence in Washington. And of course, privately, everyone in Washington laughed. They knew that was absurd. In fact, it's the opposite of the truth. Foreign powers have never had more power in Washington. Their agents are everywhere, in every federal agency and throughout business, down to and including in executive positions at various social media companies. The Biden administration knows all of this, and it's not a problem. In fact, it's their policy. From the administration's perspective, the concerns and the demands of, say, the Chinese government, or particularly the Ukrainian government, are far more important than the needs of American voters. We're cracking down on foreign influence. Please. The point, the only point of enforcing FARA after decades of ignoring it, is to harass and imprison high-profile political opponents. Trump donor Elliot Broidy pled to a FARA violation a few years ago. So did Trump campaign manager, famously Paul Manafort. He went to prison. Last year, the DOJ went after Trump confidant Steve Wynn under FARA. But in the end, the Biden administration overreached so comically that the whole thing was thrown out by a judge. But they tried. So as long as they're trying, if it was a fair system, Hunter Biden would be first on the list of those next to be charged with a FARA violation. In fact, many of them. Hunter Biden was a foreign agent. He never registered as one. But for years, that's exactly what he was. He sold access to his father and other lawmakers to the Chinese and the Ukrainians and countries throughout the world. There's no debate about that. The FBI has known about it for years. For years, they've had possession of Hunter Biden's laptop. But they didn't charge him for it today. They never will. Why? Well, you know the answer. Hunter Biden has good genes. A more interesting question, though, which is another question the feds will never consider, is what does Hunter Biden do for a living now? This is a man with no obvious job and, of course, zero skills. He spent midlife smoking crack. Yet somehow he's managed to live pretty well despite rising inflation. He's been living in big houses in the costliest residential neighborhoods in the world. He's been paying a stripper baby mama $20 grand a month in child support. And he has retained a team of the most expensive lawyers in the country who spend quite a bit of time sending threatening letters to anyone who asks questions about how they're being paid. We can confirm that firsthand. So again, what does Hunter Biden do for work? That's a fair question. And today we have the answer. For years, Hunter Biden was an influence peddler. Now, Hunter Biden is a self-actualizer. He self-actualizes for a living. He gets in touch with himself, his feelings, and he follows his muse. Here he is explaining his new vocation in a 2019 ABC News interview.
This is new.
Yeah.
Studio.
Yeah.
But now he's opening the doors to a place never captured by a paparazzi's lens. His refuge, an art studio where he finds solace in painting. What's the goal eventually?
No goal. That's the perfect part about it. It literally keeps me sane.
His refuge, far from the paparazzi's lens. In other words, we're not the paparazzi, we're ABC News. What's the goal of this? Your refuge. There's no goal, he says, grinning with those fake teeth. It just keeps me sane. But actually, there was a goal. And if you didn't know what a virtuous person Hunter Biden was, you might think it looked a lot like money laundering. 2 years after that interview, Hunter Biden was selling prints of his art. And to be clear, just the prints, not the, quote, art itself, but effectively photocopies of it for $75,000 a pop. Apparently, Hunter Biden moved 5 of these repros in just days. That's $375,000 in less than a week for signing copies of your fake art. As for the paintings themselves, childish self-indulgent blots, those sold for $500,000 a piece. So the question is, who bought them and why? It'd be interesting to know. There's a story there for sure, but of course we have no right to know. There's no public policy implication. It's not like Hunter Biden's finances have anything to do with his father's finances. Meanwhile, once his father did become president, corporate publisher Simon & Schuster lined up as well to pay Hunter Biden's bills. According to news reports, Simon & Schuster gave Hunter Biden millions of dollars for his highly selective account of his wholly unaccomplished life. And then the publisher lined up brainless celebrity endorsers like Dave Eggers and Stephen King to promote it. King, who apparently will say anything if it helps the party, called Hunter Biden's silly manuscript a, quote, harrowing and compulsively readable memoir. And then Stephen King described Hunter Biden himself as beautiful. Needless to say, the book sold miserably, but Hunter Biden got to keep millions, and that was the point. And so on. This kind of thing apparently happened a lot. Again, there seems to be a story here, and we think it's probably worth learning a lot more about it and bringing it to you. In the coming weeks, we will. In the meantime, though, the question is, what can we learn from Hunter Biden's plea deal today? First off, the obvious. For the children of the people in charge, there are no penalties. There are only upsides. They're princelings. They can do what they want. You are not. Therefore, you can't. So don't get any ideas about cheating on your taxes or violating federal gun laws. unless you want to celebrate next year's Father's Day through the glass in the visitor's room. The rules definitely apply to you, including rules you don't yet know exist. But there's also a deeper lesson here, a more disturbing one. What we're watching through Hunter Biden's life and through the Biden administration, now entering its third year, is the total inversion of virtue. What was once considered admirable is now derided as stupid, if not racist. That would include achievement, intelligence, honesty, self-control, humility. Those are features of the old America. Those were yesterday's virtues. They are gone. In their place, all that we once considered contemptible and repulsive, we're told to worship that now. Here's a small example, but we think a revealing one. In addition to his many other sins, Joe Biden has hired what has to be the single dumbest, nastiest, most dishonest, most ridiculous person he could possibly find for the very public position of White House press secretary. There's a point to it, of course. It was a humiliation exercise. It was designed to degrade the country and dispirit the rest of us. That's the White House press secretary? Shut up! But here's the thing. The White House press secretary herself has no idea why she's in the job. She thinks she's amazing. Here she is in a clip we just saw.
A year in this role, there's been a couple of things that has made me incredibly proud. Many things have made me incredibly proud to be at that podium during this historic moment. Again, this is a historic administration. I'm a historic figure, and I certainly walk in history every day.
I'm a historic figure? Imagine saying that. I'm a historic figure, but she does. And she says it in a burst of sincere self-congratulation, marked by her signature bad grammar. Illiterate, but proud. Of course.
Do you worry about porch pirates stealing your packages or mail while you're away from home? At iPostal One, we can help. Nowadays, you're used to seeing videos of packages and even mail being stolen from front porches, apartment lobbies, or really anywhere else. But it doesn't have to be like that. With iPostal One, you can choose a secure, real physical street address located near you, starting at just $9.99 a month. Packages are accepted from any carrier, and you can even forward them to another address on demand. And with your new iPostal One address, your mail is securely received and stored until you're ready to forward. Scan the content, or discard it easily with the app or online. You can even pick it up whenever is convenient. With thousands of addresses in the U.S., it's likely there's one near you. Upgrade your mail and package security today with a digital mailbox from iPostal1.com.
She's proud. Karine Jean-Pierre is now a historic figure, just like Hunter Biden is now an important artist. It makes you feel stupid for going to work. Hey, it's Tucker Carlson. On Tuesday afternoon, the Biden administration had Donald Trump arrested. It was a pretty big news story. You may have seen it. Just before 9 p.m. that night, as part of its coverage, Fox News ran 2 live
reached out to the aircraft crews to get footage from them. Now I know with the ROVs that are on scene today, they said there just hasn't been any before. So we are requesting out there to try and see what we can get to go through that and try to make that available as well. Coast Guard assets itself, no, we do not have any Coast Guard cards. No, so the research vessels, I just don't know what the Coast Guard. That's why we have those tax adjustments, because we don't want to exhaust one possibility and vice versa. So we don't want to rule out that it is on the surface. And the way that our crews train, this is the environment they train in. They're specialized in being able to see these things from the air. So they've given everything that they have to it. And if it's on the surface, we're fairly certain that we will find it if it is on the surface. So yeah, they're part of the Unified Command Center, so we're all making decisions together. No, but if they do, it's definitely being used as far as their capabilities. That's the biggest part of the training is trying to understand how the capabilities work together, how they work together. That's the biggest part. I think it was clearly stated.
Could you just describe, Russia, depth here?
I can't speak to the scientific side of that. Again, this is just more or less trying to get some background information for you guys on there. I don't have any of that information on that. And that would be a great question that we could try to get answered pretty quick. That's something kind of expert discussion we talked about for the state opportunity for you guys to ask that question, because it would be much more important and realistic for somebody within that community part of the command that would be able to answer the question a lot clearer than anything I would be able to say. So we do have a press release that's going to be going out shortly with the graphics we talked about. Probably similar information to what was passed today. If any new information comes up, we'll update that. But I think we're putting out press releases daily, and we'd look at probably doing another briefing tomorrow.
Could you just reiterate this? How big of a purchase is this? What's sort of having a priority? Do you prioritize these things? Do you classify them as priority red, 1, 2, 3? How big of a priority is this?
This operation is our top priority right now. Within the district, we have every available asset that we can that's to this that we can dedicate to it on this.
To the shore, you want to get paid through contract no matter if they get there or not, because you wasn't always guaranteed. So you need a corporate construct. You need maritime law. I can't say this is all bad, but it was meant for corporations. It wasn't meant for the people. The people were meant to be free. The people are the government. We're a government of the people, by the people, for the people. We basically create the Constitution to create a corporate construct to keep the corporations under control. Whip them into shape. Hey guys, you're getting out of control. You're getting out of control. But leave us out of it. Well, So we created a bunch of functionaries. We created the government. We created the Constitution, which created our form as a government, and we allowed them to create their own laws, rules, statutes, codes, if you would, to in fact keep them under control, because we're busy in the fields.
To monitor themselves. Those statutes, codes don't apply to the people.
They literally, the Constitution binds them, not us. I know it sounds crazy. The Constitution, all it does is protect your natural rights.
Yeah, the Constitution is a four-corner document that is the rule book that the government has to operate under, not the people.
So here's the trick.
The Bill of Rights is our protection, but it's the rules that they have to abide by. The only thing we have is unalienable rights. We only have unalienable rights.
But people are going to say that we have, okay, well, you're going to be reckless then. You're going to be crazy, right? You're going to have a lawless society if you don't have laws, rules, and statutes that control everybody. Well, inside of common law, you do no harm. Trespass on no man. You can basically use the 10 Commandments even and say that's what you're supposed to be doing. You're going to be all right. And I get it. There are people in our society who need to be policed, who need to be helped, and they're supposed to do it. Elderly, handicapped, addicts, career criminals. These people need to be in the legal system and keep it right. But they tricked everybody into the system, and through consent. Because remember, the people created the Constitution. They created the governing bodies. The governing bodies created all these rules and statutes, codes, registrations, and titles that we, the people, slipped underneath to get like dummies. So now it looks like they're in charge of us because they, in fact, that which creates it controls it. It's not just a maximum law, it's just fact. If I create a contract between us and it's in my favor, you follow it or you pay a penalty because I wrote it. And that's what's happening. But just because at birth you check this box and you've been checking it forever, you can stand today never changing an administrative thing about your status. As long as you know the words that are coming out of his mouth and roughly out of my mind, just to decipher some of this, because I still have, I told him I'm going to be his best 0 to something student, because I'm never going to stop. I only slept 5 hours. I'm never going to stop learning. I got to get it right for my family's sake, because these people are after me hard. Let me go. October 26th, they wouldn't let me speak. I insisted on finishing. They were on my time. I said, where in the Constitution does it say I have 4 minutes to redress my government grievances? Those policies bind you. They don't bind me. I'm here as one of the people, and I have a redress of grievance to give you. I'm speaking from remonstrance, right? Remonstrance means a peaceful protest. You can petition your government when it's time to redress them, which means you use the court system. A petitioning to us, we think, go around get 100 signatures. I can petition them for grievances, which means I use the court system to do it. I can use address that says you can address them with your grievance, which means you send them notes in the mail or post that lands in their district. Or I can do it through remonstrance. In the Black's Law Dictionary, remonstrance is a peaceful protest, which means you grab the mic, you don't let it go until you're done and you're going to listen to me. Well, they can shut it off, right? So I still speak over it to catch it on their mics. I won't stop. They recess. They go in the back and they war against me. When they use public money to go against the people, this is tyranny, right? So when the governing entities, your functionaries, use your own money to war against you, to try to take your natural rights away from you that they're supposed to protect, warring against you. I know it sounds crazy, but so when I went to the next meeting and they had 9 extra police officers and metal detectors that we didn't consent to, and there was no real threat, right? You can only stop somebody with reasonable articulate suspicion in the legal world, and in the lawful world, in the Constitution, you better have a frickin' warrant, or you better have a probable cause affidavit, a signature that someone says, I saw him put a gun in his pocket or something stupid. They had none of that stupid stuff. They're creating alarm where there is none, because why? They've been trained during the pandemic to take create a crisis and then go solve it. Exaggerate something, create alarm where there is none, and then put an instrument in place to silence or to fix it.
Did you threaten anyone that night?
I threatened nobody. I spoke just like this, and maybe you'll get a chance to hear it because I'll need your help to see if my levels change. All I had to do was tell them, I just start reading my redress of grievances. That's all I do is redress my grievances. That I'm George Andrew Ulas. This is my letter of maladministration. And eventually they recessed. So he who leaves the battlefield first loses. So they were coming out hoping I sat back down. But I knew not to leave that podium because I've been trained. Don't leave the podium. They came back out. They're still there. So they tried to talk over me and have the meeting. And I just went back. I said, you're on my time. I started reading my maladministration.
But you also said to them that, like, I have a 5-page document to read.
Yep. It was
not like I'm going to read.
I hear
War and Peace. There's an end to this.
I hear, that's right, and I hear a good argument. Even my wife tries to have it with me. She says, well, come on, if everybody speaks more than 4 minutes, these meetings will take forever.
Sometimes they're supposed to.
Right, and I said, I can hear that. But if these people can give me 4 minutes, next month they can give me 3. They'll give me 2, and 1, and then 0. Because if somehow they can make the law, that's what they'll do. Because they've done it in that school. That school said we had 3 minutes per topic as long as nobody else was in line. And when they met me, they're like, shit, nobody's in line. He keeps coming back for another 3. I was the only one in the room, so I was just doing this, right? Yeah. So they quickly went to a special meeting, which was illegal, and they're being sued for, to change that and give you one time 4 minutes, you're done. They can't do that. They're our functionaries. They can't tell us what to do unless you consent to it.
What's going on here with the school boards, not just all across the nation, what they're doing is they're creating law. They call it policy. But they're creating law, and then they're enforcing that law upon the people, and then if you don't conform and comply, then they're using the court system to punish you for non-compliance to their law. That's what's going on. They just had a court case in July of 2022 called West Virginia versus the EPA. And argument of the majority opinion of the case was that the EPA was creating law without the legislature creating that law and putting it on the books. EPA was creating the law, and they had their own courts. So they had their own law, their own courts, and their own enforcement. That's against the Constitution totally.
The EPA is incorporated. Our schools are incorporated.
They're a private corporation.
That's how it still fits. It's a private corporation that did this. Let me get away from the freaking 26. I'm still stuck there. Did nothing wrong. It was my best performance ever, if you would, because I do get it. That in fact, when I'm at a school board, that's all it is freaking theater. I know now that the minute I leave there, I just start hammering. The post is where you administer your government properly through the post, in my opinion. That's where I'm at now. I just want to master the post office, not the United States Postal Service, but the post office. I get away from that date. 2 days later, I get a letter in the mail telling me I'm banned from the school. I'm not allowed to trespass. Well, we all know we're not allowed to trespass, so the wording is even bizarre. Like, thank you, I know that, but you can't ban me from the school for a year because I don't agree, because they're trying to contract with me. They try to talk lightly about the potential law that I broke, saying, you were, like, as they say in this code, you did this, and you were disorderly in this.